Hi, my name is Gary Eckstein from organicweb.com.au and I'm a Mailchimp Pro partner. If you're a Mailchimp beginner or want to improve your Mailchimp email marketing skills, then this tutorial is for you. In this tutorial, I'm going to go through from start to finish as if you have a new Mailchimp account and want to create your own email marketing. We'll go through your audience, which is where we keep our people, our contacts in Mailchimp. We'll move on to email marketing, create an email campaign and send that email campaign, and then we'll look at reports. So this really, again, is ideal for both beginners and people that have used Mailchimp in the past that want to improve their skills. As mentioned, I'm a Mailchimp Pro partner, and for the last 10 years I've been training people on how to use Mailchimp. Let's get started, shall we? In Mailchimp, you don't need to download anything. You merely come to mailchimp.com. Any good modern browser, Chrome, Firefox, etc., Safari, will work very well. There's quite a lot going on the Mailchimp homepage, but it's simple enough to understand. I'm just going to very quickly click on pricing and just explain quickly. Now, I'm going to be demonstrating, my demos are going to be using what's called the Mailchimp standard plan. You may have a free account, you might have another plan. So we can have one of 4 different plans in Mailchimp. And before I continue, I should say that you may well need to watch this video and come back to parts of it and so on, and you know, that's really good. Also, feel free to leave comments. If you have comments on this video, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and so on. Now, 4 different Mailchimp plans: free, essentials, standard, and premium. Excuse me. The plan itself we choose gives us various capabilities. For example, and this is quite an advanced capability, but we have the concept of fields, which I will go into. But on the free, essentials, and standard plans, we can have up to 30 fields of data in Mailchimp. On the premium plan, we can have up to 80 fields of data. Very few organizations actually need those extra fields, but you know, just so that you know. Okay, so I'm going to be demoing on the standard plan. Let's go into Mailchimp itself. So there's nothing to download again. You just use a good browser, log into Mailchimp, nice and easy. A few, I guess, housekeeping things or profile things. If you want to, and by the way, I'm not going to go into absolutely everything in Mailchimp. I'm going to go into those core features that are essential to get you going or to improve your email marketing skills using Mailchimp. And just because Mailchimp markets itself as a small business marketing platform, it's used by some of the world's biggest brands, huge organizations, governments, and so on. So it can honestly handle whatever you throw at it. So to get to our profiles, we click our little image or our name to the bottom left of the screen, and we can click on profile or account. In this case, I'll just click on account, and once this loads up, we can see what plan we're on. We can see we're on a standard plan. We can do various other things. If you want to add other people to log in to your Mailchimp account, you don't share your Mailchimp login details. That's just bad practice from a security perspective. We can add other people. So if I click on settings, then users, you can see there are 2 people that can access my account, and I can click invite a user. We'll just wait for this to pop up, and I can put the person's email address and invite them under one of 4 different permissions or roles. Even if the person doesn't have a Mailchimp account, they'll get an email once you fill in the email and click send invite. They'll get an email, and then they'll be able to log into your account using their own login details. Now, I don't think it's available on the free plan. So if your invite a user is grayed out, it means you would need to upgrade your Mailchimp plan. One more thing while we're here. Actually, 2 more things. The first is under security, and I'll just go into that. I'm a bit of a security freak. I believe it's really important to be as secure as possible. I think that's really important. What we can do in Mailchimp, and the good news, taking a while to load, but it'll come up soon. But the good news is what we can do is we can activate what's called second factor or 2-factor authentication, where you have maybe an app, Authy, for example, or Google Authenticator. and you get a code to enter to log into Mailchimp. So even if someone were to steal your password, it's still protected. The good news is as well that Mailchimp do give you a 10% discount for 3 months if you enable second factor or two-factor authentication. Right, still under settings. So where I am at the moment, just to reiterate, I clicked my profile to the bottom. I clicked account. Sorry, this is a lot of listening to my voice, I know, and feel free to pause and come back or whatever you need to do. I clicked settings. This is hugely important. Click on domains. A question I get asked so often is how can a person stop their emails going into a spam filter? Spam filters look for a lot of things, and I've done separate videos on the specific topic because it is a massive and ever-changing topic. But there's certain things we can do to minimize our chances, of going to the spam folder when we send an email. One of them is what we call is authenticating a domain. So in a Mailchimp account, we can add or send from as many domain names as we like, as long as we have access to an email address. So if you have on that domain, so if you have multiple organizational domain names or brand names, you can add them all into one Mailchimp account. You just click verify email domain, put in an email address on that new domain name, and click send verification email. You'll then get an email from Mailchimp at that email address you put in, and then your domain will be added, and you can add that domain as your sent from domain name for your emails. Nice and easy. You also get blue verified. We want to get to green authenticated. Green authenticated gives us a far better chance of getting through spam filters, our emails getting through. What we're doing here is we're adding a record to our domain name. So my domain name is organicweb.com.au. You would have your own. We add a record to it saying we're going to be using Mailchimp for email marketing. It's safe to accept emails that are coming from Mailchimp that have my email address on them. This absolutely increases your chance of getting through spam filters, especially large organizations, government departments, universities, and so on I work with. The first step, whenever they say the emails are going to spam, authenticate, and you're all good. So if you have verified against your domain name, click authenticate, and Mailchimp gives you instructions of what to do. Add some CNAME, what I call CNAME records to your domain. Look, this is very simple to do. However, if you're not sure what to do, the best people to ask to do this for you is your web host, your email person, your computer person, someone like that. This really is important to do, and it will improve your delivery rates. Okay, that's a bit of admin. Let's look at what we're seeing in Mailchimp. So I'll just click this guy up in the corner. Now this is Frederick von Chippenheimer, or Freddy as he's called. He's the Mailchimp logo, I guess, the mascot. So let's click on him. So if you're ever lost in Mailchimp, click Freddy, you'll come back to the dashboard. Mailchimp is a lot more than just email marketing. It started as email marketing, but it's now a one-stop shop. We sort of log in and we can do most of our digital and other marketing. So for example, we can create Facebook adverts, we can post to Twitter, we can still send emails, we can even send physical postcards, we can create a website, we can create landing pages, we can create surveys, all sorts of things we can do in a Mailchimp account. So it's much more than just email marketing, although this tutorial is around email marketing, but certainly it'll make the other things you do in Mailchimp way simpler. In Mailchimp we have a thing, a container, let's call it, called an audience. Into our audience we add our people, our contacts, what we call our contacts. So think of it almost, and I always like to say, think of it as a sort of a fruit bowl. The bowl is your audience, and then you add your fruit, your bananas, oranges, whatever kind of fruit you like, into that bowl. And that is core. It's often called the CRM of Mailchimp. That is core. The audience is core. And then whatever marketing we do sort of relies on that in many ways. We add people into that, we send our email marketing, and so on. I'll just go through the various, or the menu items on the left-hand side. We can click create at any time, and we can create different things. So for example, we could create an email, which we'll do in a short while. We could create a customer journey, which is automated marketing. I'll also touch on that. We can create an email template. We can do all sorts of things. I won't go through all these things now, but these are the different things we can do there. We also have a whole audience section which we'll go into. We can go into campaigns to see, for example, the emails we've sent and the reports. Automations. This is automated marketing, often called in Mailchimp customer journeys. That's under automation. You can go straight and create your website. A really simple and awesome way to create your own website if you want to create your own website. Nice visual builder for a website. Content Studio. I'll just click on that very quickly. The Content Studio is a fancy way for saying file manager or something like that. And it's where we keep the files we want to share in our marketing. I'm just going to click on My Files, and you'll see that the various files that I've opened, or sorry, added in the past. So we add them in here, we then add them to our email. We can upload images, we can even drag and drop them across. You could even click the down arrow and import directly from a URL should you have an image on a URL. So a lot of things we can do here. If you have an e-commerce store, for example, connected to Mailchimp, integrated with Mailchimp, WooCommerce, Shopify, Magento, PrestaShop, BigCommerce, etc., you'll see your product images here, which you can directly use in your email marketing. Makes it nice and simple. If you're feeling brave, you can go into Giphy and you can search for a file that you can use in your email marketing, for example. You can connect up Instagram, and you can even set your logo if you really want to. Mailchimp has done a great job with what's called the Creative Assistant. It is fairly new in Mailchimp. They're developing it, however. Creative Assistant uses artificial intelligence and so on. What it does is when you first set it up, it goes off and grabs images and words off your website and creates images for you in various different sizes, so that you can immediately share it as we go down in a Facebook story. We could share it in, and so it goes on. You can see what it does there. But have a play with Creative Assistant if you can. It's very, very awesome. Right, so that's the Content Studio. Integrations I'll get onto in a second. So let's go into Audience. So from here, we're going to go into our audience. We're going to create a new audience. We're going to add people to that audience. We're going to tag them. We're going to segment them, etc., etc. We're then going to move on to the email marketing side of things. We're going to look at some examples of some email marketing, some campaigns that big organizations have used. We're going to create our campaign, send our campaign, and then we're going to look at what a report looks like and so on. So it's a fairly big, we're going through a lot of stuff today, but bear with me. Also, you may know different ways of doing things in Mailchimp, and that's absolutely fine. You do it the way you know. I might do it a slightly different way. I often do things a certain way just to explain them a bit differently. But there are multiple ways of doing things. There are multiple shortcuts and so on. And that's absolutely fine. Okay, audience. So again, our audience is the container we add people into. I'm going to just click under current audience. I'm going to click view audiences. And you'll see that I have 4 audiences at the moment. And again, the number of audiences you can have really does depend on what plan you have with Mailchimp. I'm on a standard plan, but you might be on a different one. Best practice, and what's suitable for probably 95% of organizations, is having a single audience. We have a single audience. There are various reasons for that, and I'll sort of touch on those as we go through. And by the way, a lot of the stuff I'm saying now as I go through will all fall into place once we reach the reporting section, and it's sort of very much one of those, I see why we did that moment. So just keep watching to the end. So I've got various audiences. I would usually say we would just use one, but I want to just demonstrate what goes into creating a new audience, but you may never need to do it. I'm going to click Create Audience. Mailchimp says, do I rather want to use tags? Just bear with me, we'll get onto tags in a while. I will click Create Audience. We can call it anything we want to. Milkshakes. Okay, look, I'm pretending that's the name of my organization. I'm in Brisbane, Australia, and it is very hot today, midsummer, very hot today, so milkshake sounds good to me. The default from address, this is what it looks like it's sent from, even though you're sending from Mailchimp, what it looks like. So I'll just go here, Gary at organic web.com.au. So it actually doesn't matter if it's capitals or not. You can ignore that, but best practice would probably be to use lowercase. You can actually put any email address on a domain you own, as long as you've added it to Mailchimp. The from name, let's just go here, Gary. These are the defaults. We can change them when we actually send the email. Okay, the campaign URL settings. We've got various options, and again, depending on what account you have with Mailchimp. Typically, this is used in that whenever we send an email, marketing email through Mailchimp, a version of that email is kept online. So you might have a link on that email saying, click here to view the online version. And this is just saying, what do you want the online version URL to look like? I normally tell clients not to even bother changing this, but you can if you want to. You need to say why people signed up. This is important because you don't want people forgetting how they signed up for your email and then marking you as a spammer, for example, or unsubscribing. So we could go, thanks for joining via our website, or you'd put a little bit more, but there we go. Contact information, that's self-explanatory. Let me go into a few things down the bottom here. Enable double opt-in. This is not widely used anymore. In the old days, let's call it, when someone signed up in Mailchimp, Mailchimp would send a follow-up email to that person saying, click here to confirm you actually want to subscribe. If you enable the double opt-in, it'll send that confirmation email. The problem is people often don't then click that follow-up email, so you might lose subscribers by doing this. GDPR fields. This is European spam laws. Unfortunately, I can't advise via various spam laws, but you'll know if you need to use that. Notifications. Do you want a daily notification of when people subscribe or unsubscribe, or one by one, etc., etc.? That's honestly up to you. Okay, so that's all I've done. I've taken a while to do it, but I'll click save and I'll have my brand new audience. So let's just wait for this to load up. It won't take too long. Just to show where I am, I'm going to click on Freddie. I'm going to click on audience. I'm going to click the down arrow under current audience, and I'm going to click view audiences. You'll now see I have my Hello Gary Milkshakes, that's a strange name, Hello Gary Milkshakes audience. I don't have any people into it, so what do we need to do now? Yes, we need to add people into our audience. Just to show you sort of something else, what I'm going to do is click on the audience name itself. And you can see I have no contacts, but there are various other options. Now, if you do want to change the audience name, for example, or any of the defaults, you could just click settings, change the audience name, etc., etc. That's up to you. And you can do that anytime. It's perfectly safe. I have no contacts. Right, so we need to add contacts. People. A few things to know. Every contact we add to Mailchimp needs to have, or must have, an email address. They must have an email address. The email address must be unique. So what I mean by that is that you can only add a single email address once into an audience. You can't have gary@organicweb.com.au twice, for example. It's two separate people. There are, let's call it, 3 ways of adding people into a Mailchimp audience. We can add people one by one, which I will show you. You can add people via an import from Google Sheets, from Microsoft Excel, from a CSV file, for example. The third way is an automated way called an integration. At any time, you can click integrations, but I'll just go to the page on Mailchimp called mailchimp.com/integrations. An integration is when we connect an external system. So, here's an example. I do Mailchimp classes and meetups, and I advertise them on Eventbrite, or sell the tickets on Eventbrite. So I've connected up Eventbrite. So as soon as someone registers on Eventbrite, they're added to my Mailchimp audience so I can market to them. I use Xero for my accounting. I've connected up a Xero. So as soon as I add someone in Xero, they're added. Acuity scheduling, for example, I use that. People schedule time with me. I've connected that. So what happens is all these various different sources, even the e-commerce platforms you've got, etc., whether you're using Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics, whatever, connect it up, and as soon as people are added into those external systems, for example, they're added into Mailchimp, so you can use Mailchimp for your marketing from there. Integrations are often very, very simple. People are quite scared about them sometimes, but they are honestly sometimes just click, click, click. So the best thing to do if you want to see if your software does connect with Mailchimp is quite simply click on integrations in Mailchimp, and we'll just wait for this to load up. Search for the integration you want to look for. So let's say it's, I've already got that connected. Let's say it's BigCommerce. I'll click on BigCommerce. Let's say I want to click my BigCommerce store. Sorry. I would click connect a new site and just follow the instructions. Often it's very simple to connect various platforms. So that's integrations. I'm just going to click on audience and go back to that audience. I'm going to click view contacts just to go back to where we were. And I'll just have a sip of water. Right, so we need to add contacts. We've spoken about integrations. If I click under add contacts, you can see I can add a subscriber, singular, or I can import contacts. What I'm going to do, and I'm just going to go across to Google Sheets, I'm going to do two imports to illustrate what happens. I'm going to do this first, very basic import, and this could be an Excel or anything similar, but it happens to be Sheets. Google Sheets. I'm first going to do this basic import, and then I'm going to get a little bit more complicated and add some more fields, such as the birthday. Are they a repeat customer? What is their favorite flavor milkshake? There's some people are the same, some are different. So this is very typical. But let's do this first import. Importing from Excel, CSV, etc. is very simple. We just copy our people, our details, all the details you need to import. Again, the only mandatory information is the email field. Also, you can have the fields in any order. It doesn't matter. So I could have had email as the first field. It didn't need to be first name, for example. So I'll just copy this information. Come back to Mailchimp, and just excuse me, I'm just going to quickly close two of these tabs just to not to confuse myself too much. I'm going to click add contacts, import contacts. So I've copied from Excel or Google Sheets, and Mailchimp says, how would I like to import them? I'm going to copy and paste. I click continue to upload. I merely paste in my details, and don't worry that it looks a bit strange, that's fine. I click continue to organize. Mailchimp says into which audience? Yes, that's correct. How do I want to import them? And I will go through these various statuses in a short while, but you'll most likely import as subscribed. And I'll go into this update any existing contacts in our next import. So I click continue to tag. I will explain tags in a short while, so we'll just leave this for now. So I click continue to match. Mailchimp says let's match up these fields. Now it recognizes that this is the first name, so that's correct. It recognizes this as email. If these were not right, if this was the last name, for example, I could click on this field, click the down arrow, find the last name field, or I could even, bear with me, create a new field called, create a new field, and I'll show that in a second. Okay, I'll just cancel that. That's correct, so I click finalize import. Everything looks okay. I click complete import. Let's view my imported contacts for now. We'll get on to our email marketing in a while. So there are 4 people. Don't worry about this black bar. That'll become more obvious a little bit later. There are 4 people here. You can see I've got various data that I've added, that Mailchimp have added, and so on. But let's go on to pretend it's next month. We'll go on to next month, get onto this more complicated spreadsheet. You can see some people are the same again. We have a new column called birthday, one called repeat for repeat customer, one called flavor, and you could add more fields as you see fit. What I'll do is the same as I did last month. There's no need to delete people that are already in Mailchimp, nothing like that. No need to delete people that are already unsubscribed. So I'll copy this data, come back to Mailchimp. I do the same as I did last month, for example. I click add contacts, import contacts, copy and paste, continue to upload. I'll paste in my data, and again, it didn't matter what order the columns were in Excel or Google Sheets. I click continue to organize. I am importing into that audience. I am importing as subscribed. This is important. Update any existing contacts. In this case, I'll click this because some people were already in Mailchimp and I want to update them with the new information that I'm importing. I click continue, and as I said, I'll explain this a little bit later. I click continue to match. Where it's white, it means Mailchimp understands that field, what it is, but just check that they're right. Birthday. It doesn't know what that is. It says edit this column name to resolve this error. So I click on the column name, I click the down arrow, and I just know, I won't waste time, but I just know without looking that I don't have a birthday column. So I click create a new field. I can call it whatever I want to. Let's just call it birthday for now. Select the data type. You get the text, number, date, birthday, etc. Because this is a birthday field, it's important that I click birthday. Now, you might be saying, sort of, what is the difference between date and birthday? Date must include the year. Birthday doesn't need to. So I only need for birthday to have the month and day, or day and month. Whereas for date, it might be for last appointment date, which might have been 2 years ago or something. Okay, so I'll click birthday, click confirm. So I've got that. And this is, by the way, what I'm doing here is I'm actually adding a new field into Mailchimp. So this is a great way of easily adding new fields into Mailchimp. Repeat customer, I haven't done that before, so let me add this field quickly. I click repeat. I click the down arrow. I click create a new field. I can call it anything I want to. Let's just call this repeat customer. Select the data type. I'm just going to select text and I click confirm. Let's go across here. Yep, flavor. I haven't used that before. I'll create a new field. I'll call it flavor. I'm in Australia, by the way. That's why I'm using the U as in FLAVOUR as opposed to OR. And just for people that are in Australia, England, or that use non-American English spelling, I guess, just be aware that Mailchimp spell checker is in American spelling, so it might show you a spelling, it would show you a spelling error, for example, for OUR in some cases. And I click confirm. Click finalize import. Complete import. Let's view all my contacts, and I'm expecting to see all those various different contacts that I added. There we go. So now there they all are, the people I added last time, this time. I've now got the birthday field, the repeat customer field, the flavor they like, etc., etc., etc. Lots of data. So that's how we import people. So to add a person one by one, should they call you on the phone or something like that, is we click add contacts, add a subscriber. And you can just add their information in here, add all the data, and scroll to the bottom and click subscribe. But I'll just go back to our dashboard. So we've covered now, let me just go into audience, we've covered the three ways. We can integrate, we can import from CSV, etc., or we can just add people one by one. And I'll just click view contacts. So we're doing really well. We're doing well so far on our audience. So that's how we create a new audience and so on. And again, a lot of me talking, but pause if you want to and come back, take a break, come back. Right, so we have all this information going on. Let me quickly describe what tags are. So these things, these columns are called fields in Mailchimp. Phone number, address, last name, etc. They're various default ones that Mailchimp add. We've added some. And just to let you know, if you really want to, you could at any time click settings, audience fields, and merge tags, and you'll notice that under that you can also add fields if you really want to. So you can add fields via the import or settings and audience fields and merge tags. These are fields. So most Mailchimp accounts, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, much earlier, most accounts we can have 30 fields. And on the we can also add data as tags, and a tag is just a label. So for example, we could say this person, we could add a tag of they shop at our CBD store, at the airport store, at whatever. Tags we add, and our customers can't manage them themselves, whereas the data in the fields we could ask them to manage under something called the Preferences Center. Okay, so tags is just a label that we apply. It's just data. Instead of in a field, we add it under tags. In tags, the only limit is it can be 100 characters per tag. You can have as many tags as you want, 10, 20, 100, but a maximum of 100 characters per tag, whereas we limited in fields to 30 fields in most cases in Mailchimp. So to add tags, we could either go into a person, but I clicked on the email address, go into their profile, under tags, click the plus, and tag them let's call them Australia. Let's do it by country, Australia, for example. Now, if I go back, you'll notice that this person is tagged as Australia. We can also bulk tag. So let's say you've got a spreadsheet and you want to bulk tag a few people. Let's bulk tag all these people. I'll just copy their email addresses back into Mailchimp. Let's go to Manage Contacts, Tags, or you could just click Tags here. So I'll click Tags. Let's bulk tag these people. So I click Bulk Tag Contacts. Let's call this USA, for example. Oops. And I could import, or I can just paste. So I'll paste in my contacts and I click Save Tag. Let's go. I'm just going to click on my number of contacts. Right, so you can see these people that are bulk tagged have now been tagged. There are various ways of tagging people, and if you've integrated, your integration might add tags automatically. Eventbrite does that, for example. So people can have multiple tags, so that's absolutely fine. So we've got fields and tags, nice and easy. This email marketing column, very important, and it obviously relates to email marketing. We can have one of 4 values in this email marketing column. We can have subscribed, unsubscribed, cleaned, and non-subscribed, or an empty value. Now, subscribed are those people we can send email marketing to. We can't send to any other status, any other email marketing status in this column. So that's subscribed. Unsubscribed means they've clicked unsubscribe, usually. Even if we try to send them unsubscribe people in Mailchimp an email, we won't be able to send it to them. Cleaned. Cleaned means a broken email address. Typically, we've sent an email to that person in Mailchimp and it's come back to Mailchimp as undeliverable. The person's left their job, for example. The 4th value is a null value or empty or non-subscribed value in this email marketing field. And what this field, sorry, I just got someone driving in out there. So non-subscribe or not subscribed in this field, those are people typically that have entered a survey or maybe have purchased in your e-commerce platform but have not agreed to get your email marketing. So they're still added into here, but you can't send them email marketing. Now, of course, the question is, why would you want them in here? Well, you can still advertise on Facebook and target people that are in your audience that are not subscribed or even unsubscribed, for example. So there's good reason in Mailchimp to have everyone in your audience. So subscribed are the only people we can send to. When we import, even if we try to import a person as subscribed that is unsubscribed, Mailchimp won't allow us to do that. The unsubscribe in Mailchimp is kept at the audience level. What that means is if you have the same person in 2 audiences, if you send me an email from the one audience and I unsubscribe, I won't be unsubscribed in the other audience. You will break the law by sending me an email. That's one of the biggest reasons for having a single audience. So everything's at this level, it's all done at the audience level. Okay, we also have a source, how did they sign up? We have a contact rating, which I'll show you in a very short while. At the top here, we have an export audience. At any time you can export the content, and it's probably a good idea just to keep a backup for your own purposes. Let's do this. Let's click on one of the email addresses for one of my contacts. I've clicked on that, and we'll just see what information there is. So this person's called Gary, various other information. Depending on what account you're on again in Mailchimp, you might get certain demographic information coming through. I am, how old am I now? 48, yes, so that is correct. This is called the contact rating. It used to be called the member rating, and it's basically how engaged people are with our email marketing. This is important. There's a concept in marketing, top of mind or front of mind. And what it basically, the concept is that you want to be in the person's brain. So when they make the decision to make a purchasing decision, your brand name just comes into their brain, right? That's important. So as we add people into Mailchimp, they add it as a 2-star. As they open our emails more, engage with our marketing more, they might go up 3, 4, or 5. If they're not engaged or unsubscribed, for example, they're a 1. So our 1-stars are just non-engaged. Our 3, 4s, and 5s are very engaged, and our 2s are generally new. And we can segment, which I'll go into in a second. We can segment it. You can write a note if you want to. Under the activity feed, we can see when they performed actions, when they purchased on our connected e-commerce site, when they purchased a ticket on Eventbrite, when they opened an email, when they clicked an email, etc., etc. Tags we've gone through. Open and click rates, we're going to go into this more once we get into reports, but you can see a summary here. If you have e-commerce enabled, you'll be able to see the total revenue and so on. Profile information, you can edit this if you want to. Various other information that Mailchimp collects, such as the location. Location becomes more accurate with time, by the way. It's based on IP address and various other things. Right, so there's a lot of information going on, a lot of stuff going on. Let's go back to our audience. So we've got data in fields, we've got data in tags, we've got all that stuff kept, by Mailchimp, such as the location that's calculated, etc., etc. Marketing, we know that if we send the right message to the right people at the right time, we get much better results. So targeting our emails is really important. So you might have a full audience, all your people. But let's say I want to send a different offer to those people in Singapore than those people in the USA. I need to know who's in Singapore, who's in the USA. So we can use something called segments in Mailchimp to divide our audience. Now, a segment is just a search of any data, whether that's tags, fields, automatically calculated data. A segment is just a calculation. So let me just show you this. Let's say I want to know all people that are repeat customers because I want to send them a certain offer. So what I'm actually looking for here is a Y in the repeat customer field. So let's create a segment. I click new segment, and I click on email marketing status, and I get all my various different fields. You can go through them. But what I said is I want to know all people who in the repeat customer field have a Y. So I'll preview my segment. Let's just look. Yep, those are all my people with a Y in the repeat customer field. I click Save Segment, and I can call it anything I want to. Let's just call it Repeat Custs for now. Click Save. It doesn't matter what you call them. Just bear with me. I'm going to just refresh my audience by clicking the number of contacts just to show you this. At any time, I can now click View Segment, and I could click Repeat Custs, and it'll recalculate at that time who meets those conditions. So this is important because let's say I schedule an email to go out next Tuesday. I set it to send to all repeat customers next Tuesday. Mailchimp next Tuesday at the sending time will recalculate who meets these conditions. So anyone that's moved out of that segment or moved into it will also be sent that email. So really important. It's dynamic in nature in that way. But let's get a little bit more fancy. Let's say I want to know all repeat customers that live in the USA. So that's repeat customers as Y and tag as USA. Very, very simple, right? We go new customer. I scroll down. I can add another option. I'm looking for repeat customer is Y, and I said I want tag is USA. Preview segment. So these will be all my people. Okay, it's not too many people, but all people that are USA and repeat customer. I'd save my segment. And on we go. So this is for our targeting. So we create segments. We throw all our data in, and then we segment. Nice and simple. Just a few more things to go through, and then we're done with audiences. But audience really is the central thing in Mailchimp. Okay. We have something in Mailchimp called groups. And I'll just click on that. I won't go into this in too much details because it's not for everyone, but I can create groups, and it's just another way of adding data, sorry. So I could go, I could ask people here, your fave flavor is, and we could go here, I don't know, strawberry, mint, etc., etc., and click save. And it's just another way. It will just add another column. It's just another way of adding data. But this is important. We've got the concept of preferences center, and I do have a separate video on that if this interests you, where what we can do in Mailchimp, and it is new in Mailchimp, is we can get people to update their profiles. So instead of unsubscribing, we can get them to go, okay, what are your interests and so on. So what we can do is we set up the preferences center, we use groups, and people can update their preferences. Yes, I want to get information about this, but not that, and so on. Surveys is a type of campaign for all effects. We create an online survey, nice and easy to use. I have a separate video on that too. Last but not least is inbox. If I click on that, and depending on what account you're in, what we can do is we can, and I will show this, when people reply to our emails, we can make it go to our inbox. So if there are a few of you that share management of the replies to your emails, you can all log into Mailchimp, view the central inbox, and manage your replies from there. So that's audiences. Look, it's we've been through a lot. We've been through a lot in this short space of time, but that will get you up and working with audiences very well. Let's move on to our actual email campaign now. It is important to distinguish these different sections we're doing today: audience, campaign, reports. Okay, 3 different sections. Let's click, oh sorry, I'm just trying to find my mouse. Let's click on campaigns. I click on campaigns to the left hand side, and I can view the campaigns I sent in the past. I can click calendar view and even see, this is just a demo account, when I send campaigns and so on. That's nice and handy. Before we dive into actually creating our campaign, I am going to go through a few things. The first thing to say is that usually nice and simple emails work better. Simple and straight to the point. Don't make people work, don't make tiny text and so on. That doesn't work. I saw some research, it's a while back now, and I don't know how true it is, saying that people look at those signs at the side of the railway station, the side of the road, actually spend longer looking at those than they do your email. I don't know if that's true or not, but the point being that it has to be short, sharp, sweet, and to the point. So let's look here. And also, by the way, I always sort of show this image as well. We need to tell people what to do. This is a massive mistake people make. They do these long emails, but they don't say, you must tell people what action you want them to take. Click here. This is, I went for a run around my neighborhood. This is a few years ago now. And I saw this on the side of the road. And I thought it was wonderful, because how do you buy this car? It should have a phone number. It should have whatever, okay? But this is the point. Don't just give people information. Tell them what you want them to do. Send them to your website or something like that. Now think of social media and things like that. When you post to Facebook, Twitter, etc., often you'll say, hey, we've got a new whatever in stock. Click here to view more. Email, you want to do the same thing. Click here to view more. Take this action. Book now, whatever the case might be. A few things. This is from Tommy Hilfiger, major brand name, you probably know them. This is not the best email in the world, although visually it might be quite nice. The issue is, if the image doesn't show, that's what you see. Unfortunately, as the sender, and I get asked this often, as the sender of an email, we can't force the person to download images. It's actually set on the recipient side. So make sure you've always got text as text, in other words, in a text block, and I'll show you that. But yeah, just be careful. I mean, text on an image, it doesn't look great as well on small screen devices often, but also you run the danger of it really not being good at all if almost your whole email is just images. I love this email. This is almost a perfect email in my eyes. Simple, short, to the point. We have our logo up the top. Always have your logo up the top. It's a sense of trust. Logo, image, heading, text, button. This is very, very typical. So we have the logo, we've got an image. Your image must be meaningful. It must describe what's happening in the email. Don't just have some random image, and also have a good quality. I'm not saying you necessarily need a stock image or anything like that. Actually, that can often be overdone. But just make sure that it's easy to understand, and it's a close-up and so on. And this is perfect if this is about ride sharing, two people sharing a ride in a car. Logo, image, a nice heading so that people who don't want to read more can see this and they know exactly what it's about. A little bit of text, and you can notice that it is personalized. It's got my name in there, which I will show you. And then they've got a button, try Uber X today. So that is a very good email. Don't worry about full width and so on. But this is nice, short, sharp, sweet, and to the point. Let's look at Pepsi. And it's actually very similar to that Uber one. Logo, image, heading, text, button. Okay, they've got a little bit more, but that's absolutely fine. Okay, and they tell you exactly what they want you to do, the call to action there. Very good email. One story. The reason why a lot of these companies use one story is there's a ton of research showing that often people just don't scroll down, so you may as well only have one story. Disney have what we'd call a newsletter, which is more than one story. Again, they use the single column layout, very similar type of layout to Pepsi and to Uber. Logo, image, text, button, image, text, button, image, text, button. So they just repeat it going down the page. So it's very similar to Pepsi, but they just repeat the blocks as they go down the page. So we'll create that in Mailchimp, and Mailchimp make it just incredibly simple to do. Again, please just make sure that you always have text that's actually typed text, and I will show you that. And we always have somewhere to send people. Keep it nice, short, sharp, and simple. And by the way, you always write for your audience. I can't forget to say that. Whoever your demographic, your persona, your marketing persona is, you write for them. If I'm selling, if I'm doing the marketing for 20-something females, for example, I need to put myself in the way they would respond. Me as an old man, if I wrote for myself, it wouldn't attract that target demographic. So back in Mailchimp, let's create an email very quickly. And honestly, it is just so simple to create an email and send it in Mailchimp. So let's do this. To create an email, we click Create. We want to create an email. So we click Email. We've got various types, but in this case, we're sending regular. Automated is a customer journey, and I'll show you that shortly. Plain text is just text without images. A/B test is when we want to test variations, such as if we add this image or if we change the subject line. That's nice and easy, and it's actually very simple to do. You can go and try it in your own time once you've completed this video. But we can call our campaign anything we want to. Let's just call this February. It's for you. Okay. We click Begin, and we're in the campaign builder. We start at the top and we work our way down. So who do we want to send this to? We click Add Recipients, click the down arrow, and in this case, I'm going to click to my Hello Gary Milkshakes. Gee, that's a terrible name, isn't it? Hello Gary Milkshakes audience. At this time, I can send to all my repeat customer segments. I could even create a new segment at this time. I could send to individual tags, etc., etc. I'll just send to everyone. Always click the Personalize the To field, and under Merge Tag, choose F name. This is just okay. To put long story short, just do it. It reduces your chances of getting caught in spam filters. And I'll click Save. The from is automatically set from that default that I set for the audience when I created it. But you could, if you want to, click Edit From. Change the name to Sally if you want to, and Sally at Organic Web or whatever. And I'll click Save again. Subject line. Let's go into this. Add subject. Now Mailchimp has this very cool, very nice sort of subject line tester, I guess. Subject line is critical and it relates to your open rates. A strong correlation with your open rates. Your subject line must entice the person to open your email, but must also be consistent with the content. So Uber was sharing their Uber X product or service. So they would want something in the subject line that says something like a new way, or do you want a new way to share rides? Something like that. So it must be consistent, must make the person want to open the email. A question often works well, something like that. Short, sharp, sweet works well. This is actually too long. Okay, my typing's terrible too. And that's where you'll notice that it's picking this up as a spelling mistake because it's, in this case, Australian English. There we go. And if you want to, you can add an emoji. Let's just add a smiley face, just so you know. Now, Mailchimp does go through and say, yes, it's nice and short, sharp, and sweet. Space is limited, etc., etc. Preview text, definitely worth doing, like a second subject line, and it shows in some email readers. We have a new mint. No, that's definitely a spelling mistake, isn't it? Sorry, just bear with me. Okay, you'll do something better than that, but you get the idea. And click save. Okay, so that's our subject line. Content. Let's click design email. Just bear with me. I'm just going to very quickly go back to, where was Uber? There we go. So we're going to do the logo, image, heading, text button, a slight variation on that. So back to Mailchimp. This is the new Mailchimp, the new builder, email builder in Mailchimp. They are advancing it, and it just makes building email so much simpler if you're doing it yourself than the old way, and so on. And you'll notice this layout is very consistent with those, the Disney, the Pepsi, etc. that we saw. Logo, heading, text, image, and a button. Okay, in most of those we saw the image was up above, but that's absolutely fine. So in the new builder, nice and simple, we can hover over, click on any of the blocks and change. We can add new blocks, etc. And we'll do this. You can move them up and down, delete them. So let's add our logo. So if I click on the logo, in the email I'm going to send, on the left-hand side, if I click Set Logo, I come into my Content Studio. So let's come to My Files. And I'll just find a logo to use. Let's just use this one. I'm going to click on it. I could just drag and drop it across. I'll click Insert. Okay, so Mailchimp's added my logo up the top there. Let's add a few words. Love, ice. Oh no, what are we doing? Milkshakes. Eh? I could add some more text in here. We have a new of mint, I don't know, milkshake, wanna try it. Okay, you get the idea. I won't do much more. Okay, you do a little bit more, but there we go. Okay, so logo, heading, text. Let's add an image. So I'll click in here. I will go into into my Content Studio to replace it, and I could find where's a milkshake. There we go. We'll click on that one. Click Insert, and we've added our image, nice and easy. And for every image, please just get in the habit of adding a link where people can go to. This will often just be your home page. Oh, where are we? https organicweb.com.au. And that'll just check the link for us. And also please just add some alt text. Alt text is hugely important for people that are using a screen reader, for example. It'll then speak the alt text to them. But also if the images don't load, at least then people know what it's about. I'll just add here, I'll just describe it, milkshakes, for example. Okay, that's the image. Let's go into the button. So I just click on Add Button. I add a link where I want it to go to. .com.au. There we go. Mailchimp just checks it. We can, if we want to, we can change the color. We can add a new color. Let's just do that color, shall we? I'll click the back button. We could even change the button text color. Okay, and there we go. Let's just click back here. We can change the text to, for example, try now. You can have some fun, but there we go. Make it left, right. You can play with these different options. Okay. If you do want to add different types of content or more content, you can just click the plus button, And Mailchimp immediately says, do you want to add a heading, a paragraph, an image, a logo, a button, different layout, socials, video. By the way, just remember, if you are going to use video, what you need to, I'll show you that in a second. You could add a spacer, divider, but let me click on video. And Mailchimp immediately says to me, what is the source? So the trick here is that your video has to be hosted somewhere else, on YouTube, on Vimeo, something like that. You would take the URL from YouTube, just drop it in here, and Mailchimp will automatically add the thumbnail image from YouTube. So that's how you add a video, nice and simple. But the concept is it must be hosted somewhere else. I'll just delete this block to show that we can. Okay, so that's how you can add new blocks. I'll show you very quickly how we can personalize our content. Let's say in this text block here, and I'm just going to click on it, we want to add a greeting such as, let's go, hi, space, first name. All we do if we want to add a person's first name is in a text block, we click merge tags, click the field you want. So in this case, it would be first name. So, hi first name, we have a new milkshake, do you want to try it? If you had the location, we could even go our favorite location is, merge tags, and you would have a field called favorite location. Our favorite location is whatever. So what Mailchimp does in this case is it goes through, where there's a merge tag, it goes through and it's sending to this email address what is the corresponding first name in your audience, and it enters that. If you don't have a value in your audience for the first name field, Mailchimp will leave it blank. We can, however, set something called the default merge tag, which is if we don't have a first name, we'll enter another value such as customer, member, donor, attendee, something like that. So let me show you that. I'll just show you how we can set the default merge tag value. I'll click continue, and I'm just going to go into my audience, and I'll go into that audience we created, Gary's Milkshakes. I click view contacts. So to set the default merge tag value, so for example, when I'm sending to Gary and I'm using the first name merge tag, it'll enter Gary. But if I'm sending to that address, it would enter nothing by default. To set the default that will appear should I not have a first name, I click settings, I click audience fields and merge tags. Now, these are all my different fields, and this is where I said you can add new fields if you want to. But against first name, you can see to the extreme right, I have nothing in the default merge tag value. So here I could enter, for example, customer, and Mailchimp would enter, should I not have the first name, it would enter customer. So I'll just click save. Okay, so that's how you set your default merge tag value, and that's a once-off. You don't need to do it every single time that you send a campaign. But let's go back to that campaign. So I click campaigns. So this shows you can start creating your campaign and come back to it. There's the one called February. I click edit. Okay, we were on our content, so I'll click edit design. Okay, looking at this, and I'll just show that we can delete these buttons if we really want to. I'll just delete that. This stuff at the bottom here will autofill for you. So this is about, the unsubscribe link, etc., etc. And just to let you know that you send the email, as soon as person clicks that unsubscribe, they're marked as unsubscribed in your audience. Okay, so there we go. So let's click preview, make sure it all looks okay. We can enable the live merge tag info, which means it brings in an example of the merge tag. So this case is correct because it says hi Gary for that email address. Okay, all looks okay, that looks good. Okay, we're happy. So let's exit preview mode. Of course, we could make changes, but let's click continue. We're nearly an hour in. Hopefully you're still with me. We're going through a lot, but as I say, it will fall into place, and you can always come back and watch more if you really want to. Okay. Social cards, please enable this, enable social cards. This just means that when someone shares, I'm just going to click the enable, when someone shares your, if someone shares your email on social media, you can, preset what text will be filled for that person, what image. So for example, if I click on Facebook to the left, you'll notice that image doesn't look great. So I could change it to a different image or upload an image, and I could just fill in some text that would be shared. My typing's terrible, as you've already seen today. So yeah, you would create some meaningful text that would be shared by default, and we click Save and Close. All looking good. We send a test email. You click Send a Test Email. Send yourself a test email. Make sure it looks okay on your mobile device, on your desktop, on your tablet, etc., etc. Make any changes as you see fit. This is the campaign link, the link where onto which the email that you sent is kept. I would just leave that. You can, if you want to, post an update to Facebook or get Mailchimp to do it, saying you've sent an email. You generally wouldn't need to change the settings and trackings, but I'll just click on it to show you. I'm going to click Edit, and if I scroll down, the defaults are typically absolutely fine. If you have connected your e-commerce store, you would enable e-commerce link tracking. In that case, you can track through to from when a person received an email right through to when they purchased. At least you can tell they took the steps through to do that. You can also then see how much money your email has made, for example. Now, this use inbox to manage replies, that was that inbox I showed you on the audience section, and I said that if a person replies, it can come into that one inbox, shared inbox. You would need to enable that if you want your replies to go into there. The advantage of this as well, and this is only available on some plans in Mailchimp, is Mailchimp gets rid of most of the out-of-office replies. Just to give you a bad example, some of my clients have even several million email addresses or contacts they send to. Let's say they send in a holiday time. Let's say it's around December, January holiday time. They send an email. A lot of people are out of office. That's a heck of a lot of out of office replies they get back. At least this filters some of them or most of them out, so they don't have to get those useless, meaningful replies really. Okay, so that's all looking good. I click Save. I've got two options. I can send or schedule. So I'll click on Schedule. This send time optimization is brilliant. I'll just click on that. And what Mailchimp does is it looks at our audience and calculates the best time to send. Or you can send at a specific time if you really want to. And if you really want to, you can send in batches. I'm not finding that that's necessary with my clients, but it might be necessary for yours. I'll just click Cancel. Alternatively, if you want to send immediately, we click Send, and you can send now, and Mailchimp sends incredibly quickly. Once you've sent an email, you can't make changes to it. It's sent, it's stored on the recipient server, for example. There's no, there's no point in making changes to it. Before it's sent, however, you can make changes. So what I mean by that is if you click Send now, you can't make changes. But if you schedule to send tomorrow, for example, in 20 minutes time, you can always then make changes until such time as it's sent. So what some of my clients do is, even if they want to send now, they'll schedule for half an hour's time or 30 minutes time, and which gives, they can then click, the schedule, and they go, oh, I need to make a change. They can quickly make a change before it's sent if they want to. Right, there we go. So I've demonstrated how we send. So we looked at our campaigns, audience, we created our audience, we imported people into our audience, we segmented, we tagged, etc., etc. We looked at some examples of emails. We created our email campaign. Just a tip here is that at any time, sorry, I find my mouse again, we could click All Campaigns, and once it's been sent, just this one for example, let's pretend, you could click the down arrow and replicate it. That's the best way of using an email campaign as a template per se, is create your first one, spend some time on it, and then just replicate into the future. And it'll copy it exactly, and then you can just make the changes you need to make and send it. Makes it nice, quick, and simple. I mean, email marketing should be nice, quick, simple, and that's what works best. Now we're going to move on to reports. I've got a report for an old campaign I sent, just to illustrate what's in our reports, because we want to see how we're doing so we can do better. There are two ways of viewing reports. We could either go straight and click Reports and view a report for our campaign, or under All Campaigns, I can click View Report. And we're in our reports. Okay. So We can see that I sent this to 28 people. Wherever there is blue, it's a hyperlink. You can download various data, print it. Sharing is excellent. You can then share a link to the online report with other people. I'll just click view email just so you can see, or we can see, what we're looking at, because it's slightly different to the one that I've just sent. There we go. So organic web, there we go. So it's slightly different. So let's go back and look at our report. Okay, I had e-commerce enabled in this. There weren't any orders. We would have been able to see, had there been orders, how much money I'd made, etc., etc. Various benchmarking characteristics. So I'll just explain this very quickly. Open rate is how many people have actually opened our email. How Mailchimp measures the open is, email technology is actually pretty old, right? So the only way we can really measure it, it's unlike you know, on a website that uses Google Analytics and so on. Mailchimp inserts, and this is how all other providers do it. They insert a little transparent pixel image, and if that image loads, it's counted as an open. There are various other things as well, but that's the most typical. Okay, so open rate is not 100% accurate, but it's a good guide anyway. So open rate is highly influenced by the subject line, and if people have actually agreed or want to get your stuff. It also is affected. Sorry, it's so hot here. It's also affected by how often you send. If you're not sending often enough, people forget who you are. If you're sending too often, people get bored and don't open. Okay. So open rate, look, it varies. It really does vary on the size of your audience and so on. And Mailchimp gives you a sort of guideline here. This was just a demo again that I sent. Click rate is once a person's opened the email, how many people have clicked a link? Now, click rates are immensely valuable because that means a person has opened your email and they've been interested enough to read more. Of course, if you don't have links in your email, well, you're not going to have any clicks. But the whole idea is actually to get them. The sale happens on our website, for example. So you want them to click through. Even if you have a newsletter per se, maybe on your email, if it was a few different, 3 stories on your email, you would just have sort of the headlines and a few lines of text and send them somewhere else, to your blog, maybe even a PDF document and so on, to read more. What I've found is that you typically want to aim to have a click rate to be about 10% of your open rate or better. So a click rate is highly dependent on, are your links in the right place? Is the order of your content correct? And are people interested enough to actually want to see more, read more, buy now, whatever the case might be? So they're already open, but is your content okay? If you have an okay open rate, but your click rate is below 10% of your open rate. So what I mean by that is, let's say my open rate is, let's call this 26%. I would want 10% of 26% is 2.6%. I would want my click rate to be 2% or 2.6%, is that what I said? Yes, or better. If it's below that, it means something was kind of wrong with my content, and we touch on that a little bit later. Unsubscribes. Look, people unsubscribe. You don't want your rate to get too high. It just means that your content's not interesting enough or something like that. But unfortunately, look, people do unsubscribe. Just going down a little bit. We can click and see who opened. We can click and see who clicked. Bit of a tongue. There we go. I won't carry on. Bounce. Let me go into this. If I click on bounce, this is the number of emails that were sent that came back as undeliverable. This isn't a great example, but there are 2 types, a hard and a soft bounce. A hard bounce is a permanent delivery problem. Mailchimp sends the email. The recipient server comes back and says, hey, I couldn't find that email address. It's spelt incorrectly. The person's left that job, whatever the case might be. Should the email address hard bounce, Mailchimp immediately mark that email address as cleaned in your audience. You cannot send to them again. A soft bounce is a temporary delivery problem. The person's mailbox is full, the server's temporarily down, something like that. If it's a soft bounce, Mailchimp does not resend this specific email campaign to that person automatically. Mailchimp will allow you to send roughly the next 5 or so, it varies a bit, emails to this person. If all of the next few soft bounce, they are marked as cleaned in your audience. But however, let's say the 3 soft bounce and then suddenly a person opens one, well, then we're back to, they're fine again in your audience. Okay, so that's bounces. I'll just click the back button very quickly. Let's go down, down, down. That was bounces. People unsubscribe. Clicks per unique opens. This is where I was saying you need about 10%. This is the number of the proportion of clicks to opens. This is a bit more specific, but you want this around about 10%. If it's below 10%, again, it means your content was not great or was wrong order, something like that. Abuse reports, not the best wording, but what this means is this is how many people have marked you as a spammer, not where a spam filter has has automatically detected or said that your email is spam. This is where you've sent an email to me, it's come through the spam filter, I've received it, and I've dragged and dropped it or manually marked it as junk or spam, for example. This is a very important measure. If you have, and it varies a bit, but it's about 0.1%, 1 out of 1,000. So if more than roughly 1 out of 1,000 of the emails you send are manually marked as spam, it means something's wrong. It often means, spammers would have a lot of abuse reports, and it doesn't help Mailchimp at all. It hurts Mailchimp's reputation, so they will ask you to re-agree to the terms and conditions. Various demographics, you might see something slightly different depending on your on the plan you have with Mailchimp. 24-hour performance, this wasn't very good, but it's just because this is a test, but it's a pretty picture showing when people opened and so on. Look, people typically open your email within an hour of getting it, and you want to send your email within, or when the person's in the right frame of mind to make the, let's call it purchasing or action decision. So for example, if you're targeting, if you're selling family meals and your target market is working mothers and fathers, you would not send it on a Wednesday at 10 o'clock in the morning, because the parent opens the email at 10 o'clock in the morning, they're at work, working on the computer, they see selling, they don't have time to bring out their credit card, make the payment. Rather send it at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, something like that. Top links, I'll get onto that in a second. Subscribers with most opens, this is interesting. I'll click view more. We can tell various things here. It's not an exact science, but you know, some organizations, travel organizations, government, etc., charities, universities, will see a large number of opens against some people's names. This doesn't necessarily mean that that person has opened, 100 times. Often it means they've forwarded the email to someone else. Each individual email contains a tracking link. So for example, you send the email to me, if I then forward to 3 other people, it all counts against me, the opens, as that I've opened it however many times. But there's also a margin of error in there and so on. I usually say to organizations, anytime there's more opens than 10, maybe look at them, and that person might be a warm lead, something like that. Let's go back to our overview. Going down the screen, down the screen, down the screen. Where were we? Subscribers with the most opens. Social performance. This is how many people have sort of clicked on any social links you have in your email. Top locations by opens. Not 100% accurate if you're in Australia, for example, because I opened all of these and it's showing me as partly being in the US, but that's absolutely fine. Let's go back. Some other pretty cool things here is we can click on links. And if we click on click map, so links, click map, we can see where people clicked. So no one clicked on my logo. 25% of people clicked on that image, and 75% clicked on that button. This is how we know, and this is how, going back to Disney, Pepsi, Uber, etc., this is how they all know that people often don't go beyond the first story, because you'd always expect, if it's created correctly, your email, or not always, but in most cases you'd expect that you'd have most clicks on the nice big, colorful first call to action or button. If you have more clicks further down, it typically means you've got the order wrong. We also know that buttons, a nice big blue, green, purple button, gets much more clicks than just if you were to hyperlink a certain word. Use nice big buttons. People like to see a nice button, they know what to click on then. If we click on click performance, we can also click on any of the links. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake there. Let me click under unique clicks, for example, and we can see once it loads up, we can see who clicked on this specific link. So these people. So what I could do then is I could export them, for example, or I could target them in another email. So just to give you an example is, well, when the travel industry was absolutely booming before COVID, I used to work with a lot of travel airlines as well, international airlines and so on. And one airline, certain country, they wanted to sort of see who was, they wanted to target their marketing more. So they wanted to see kind of who would be more interested in, let's call them business class flights versus economy class flights. So they sent out one email, and the one link was towards more business orientated, high value stuff, and the other towards more discounted stuff, content. And through that way, they could all, it was a great way to look and say, hey, these people that clicked on business, maybe we should target them with more high value stuff, and these people on economy, target them, you get the idea anyway. So that's under links. Click performance there. We've got various other things going on here. Don't worry too much about those. You can go through them in your own time. But that's what I've got for you. So what we've done now is we've gone through Mailchimp. We went through audiences. We went through email campaigns. We looked at the reports. You need to now go away and just practice what you've learned in this session. It's easy. Just practice again and again, and soon you'll see that it is just so simple. Email marketing is still highly effective with the biggest or highest rate of return, so return on investment. So the amount of time we spend in email versus the response we get back and so on is higher than any social media or anything like that. It still is. It does very well. Please subscribe to my channel. Please like this video, share it with your friends, leave a comment, contact me via the comments below if you've got any questions. But I really do hope this has helped you. Watch it again. I'm Gary from organicweb.com.au.